So I was just down in the broadcast room here at Perimeter Church in Atlanta, and we're doing rehearsal this evening. Ron Cochran is down in broadcast. I'm about to walk in. Their head of audio, his name is David, and we're going to check out their main auditorium. So here we are, walking into their worship center. They have a balcony here, 2-level auditorium. They're running Yamaha consoles.
Hey Mandy, will you sing for me?
Hey everybody, Patrick here from AV Coalition. I'm standing here with David Lopez, what he would title himself the audio monkey of Perimeter Church in Atlanta.
Right. That's what I am.
I actually asked him a question earlier. I loved his response. I said, David, are you a front of house guy? Are you a studio guy? What's your original passion? Mm-hmm. And his answer to that was kind of unique. I want him to open that up for us.
Yeah, exactly. So simply put, us around here, we're just strictly into people business. It's the people, it's for the people. As a church, it is about the people. The equipment is there to support and help us and get the message across and amplify it.
Yeah.
But as for me personally, it's takes second to the way you treat people, for the way you actually support people. So that's kind of like the philosophy, and that's kind of like the culture this year. 100% of the culture is a very people culture based.
Wow, that's incredible. So how do you guys cultivate, just as far as healthy relationships between the teams and the staff and all of that? I mean, what's kind of some of the ways you do that?
Well, there's a couple of things that we live by. There's a couple of philosophies that we live by, and one of them is God's people using God's gifts for God's glory.
Wow.
It's kind of like it's our philosophy, and then we have what we call our behaviors that we would like to see with everybody, which is being humble, flexible, and prepared.
Yeah.
So those are we like things in threes, right? So humble, flexible, prepared is part of the behaviors, and it's what we talk about. Wow. It's what we live. It's like while we talk, having coffee, whatever the case, for breakfast.
Yeah.
These are the things that we teach our folks, and we have to live it first as leaders in order for them to kind of also do it. But they all, the folks here they're all fantastic.
Wow, and you have opened up just a little bit about how you guys do development, mm-hmm. and you have an opportunity for people that want to grow, whether mm-hmm. it's in their skill set, be a part of the team culturally. I think you call it a residence. Talk a little bit about how that program works for you guys.
Well, the resident program is a 2-year program that we bring in. Multiple departments have residents that come in for a season. Yeah. And the primary goal for them is to train them out, to train them, get them into whatever area. We have worship residents that come in, and we train them on production. We train them in anything worship related. Yeah. And they get to lead worship on the big stage or the small stage. They get to be involved. Yeah. And then they take those skills out into the community and out into the world. So, and apart from that, we have great youth ministries, the J-High ministries, and what we call watershed ministries as well. Mm-hmm. So we're constantly teaching and raising those kids up, preparing that next generation for just not technical stuff, but also how to be, servant leaders and so forth.
I love that. I think as a church, sometimes we can lose sight of what it looks like. We get the cart before the horse, mm-hmm. and the equipment and the performance and all the things take a precedence over being foundationally great leadership and being able to actually pour into people and invest from that standpoint. And so I love that you guys have set such a great example here within that culture. Mm-hmm. What's your favorite thing about being a part of the Perimeter team?
Again, it's the people that I get to work with. It's really, I know it sounds cheesy, but we really enjoy being around each other. We have a great time, but also at the same time, we understand the form of that excellence that we do try to bring every week. But again, it is just being around great people.
Well, I feel impressed
know.
to ask you this, man. If there was somebody out there that was, maybe leading a production department, and maybe they're feeling discouraged, they're having trouble with team building, or maybe they're feeling isolated or lonely in their position. Like, what would you say to that person?
It's what I wake up every morning that gets me motivated is, and just what essentially I would say, rethink it.
Yeah.
Start over. Start from the top. Find out what you're in it for personally. Because if you're in it for personally for the wrong reasons, or you're actually, you can't expect anyone to do something that you're not doing.
Yeah.
As a leader, you want people to they have to follow you. So you have to be a representation of what you're trying to establish. So that's the first thing. First thing is analyze yourself. Definitely analyze yourself, and then your team.
Yeah.
Once you get the right team together, spend time with them. Essentially, not only behind a piece of equipment, but you gotta spend time with them. You gotta get to know who they are. You gotta get involved in their life, and that helps with accountability. Just get involved in that way. And then it becomes easier, I think, for me to teach and train on the technical side, because you know that person.
Yeah, absolutely.
So essentially, it's that inner, as a production leader, for me, I have to live it out. I have to live it out before anything else, and it has to be every time. Every time that I'm in the building, anytime not only in the building, when I'm in wherever it is that I am, we try to live out those values, and so that's the key. I think is. For me, I was that person that was completely gear driven, that was all about, to me, the equipment. And then I found myself in a place where it was just not satisfying anymore.
Wow.
Because I was excommunicating myself from people, and I did that for years. And then it came to a point where I was put in certain scenarios where people have trained and poured into me.
Yeah.
Just to help me refocus and say, hey man, just bring it back home to the people.
Wow.
Train the people. So for me, you hear me say people.
Yep.
Essentially, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, servant leadership.
It's
If you could give maybe one or two examples, things that you've seen that have been successful ways to connect with your team, whether it's outside the four walls, outside the services, or even within as you're serving them, what are a couple of things that you do to just stay connected?
Yeah. So, man, we simple thing as just getting together before service starts as a team and collect prayer requests.
Yeah.
Just sit down in the morning before you. There's a lot of churches that never ever even pray together.
That's true.
I mean, and they don't pray at all. So essentially, I think it's just getting together in the morning and making it because it is a sacrifice, obviously, to get to a place earlier.
Yeah.
I think a lot of churches don't give themselves enough time for success in the mornings.
Yep.
They just barely give themselves. I like to work in a peaceful. I am all about the shalom. I am about peace and tranquility. I don't like to work in environments or with certain people that are not, how can I say, that work stressed. So for me, it's like, hey, if you get here 15, get the crew in and get your team in 15 minutes prior, and say, hey, let's have a coffee time in the morning, and then right out of that you have your production meeting, and you can say, hey, this is what we're going to be doing today. This is what to expect. But you started off the day just going before the Lord and just asking Him to guide you through this service, and then you create that starts to create a culture where people can then come in. And not have to run straight. 9 times out of 10, people just run straight to a task without making any touch points. So I think it's important for us to be able to make it. It takes an investment, obviously, and that's one of the things. A lot of it, when I find out when I'm training other churches, is that they don't want to take that extra step.
That's true.
To wake up 15 minutes earlier, and that's what it takes. It really takes that. You got to invest that time. You got to make that time happen.
Wow. I mean, if any of you are out there watching this and feeling discouraged or struggling to get to that next level, whether it's in relationship with your teams, even just personally, I just want to encourage you, servant leadership, keeping in mind what's most important and understanding what it looks like to make room. Make room for the most important things. Make room for the Holy Spirit and Lord to speak. Make room for the relationship to happen. It's been an honor to be here with you guys.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, so anytime.
Absolutely. So we wanted to thank you guys for watching, and more to come. Stay tuned to AV Coalition.